So I'm the dark horse. I'm a lot younger and less accomplished than everybody here. So I'm just going to explain kind of what we're doing at Pixels.io and some of the motivation. So in 1990, Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. And at the core of it is the link, the hyperlink, which basically lets us click through and find out more about anything that interests us. And basically what I want to do is to be able to do that same thing for the physical world. So things like if you look at a wine bottle, you should be able to find out where it came from. Maybe if you're watching Project Runway, you should kind of find out where the designer is doing now, maybe any new fashion that the designer has recently introduced, or just a bunch of different ways that we could click through the physical world and find out more. So it's very clear from this conference that technology is now at the center of how we create and consume media information. And specifically, there's screens all around us, and there's cameras in our pockets, and some perhaps on our face. Whatever it may be, my approach to this was to take advantage of that specific technology. So my background is actually in radio design, and it was a great, is a specific approach to kind of look at the camera and the screen as a direct link. And there's a lot of nice properties about the screen and the camera. It's a very, very rich data connection. There's less interference. So it was very natural for me to take a scientific approach and try to transmit data from the screen to the camera in order to do this. But when I went back to the media lab, one thing that I learned at MIT at the media lab is that we have to be very careful with this medium, because not only does it carry information for the devices, but it also carries information for us as humans, and that's why they're everywhere. And so there's a lot of factors at play, not just engineering constraints, but also cultural factors. So for example, on the left is Hong Kong. It's very acceptable to have vibrant billboards that convey information. In the middle is Germany, where there's very strict laws about light pollution and how much light can be emitted from their streetlights. And then on the far right, of course, is Times Square. I actually had a picture of New Jersey before where there's no rules, and there's like, you can kind of tell. So I removed it. But basically, I chose to design under those constraints. And the key observation is that our human eyes see differently from the camera. So it's actually the thing that you can take advantage of to be able to transmit more information without being intrusive. So it's kind of taking the other approach. So for example, you might see a picture of streets in the evening, but what the camera sees are these beautiful disks of light called bouquets. So the specific technique that I came up with actually does leverage existing screens and cameras, and they're called VRCodes. And I'll just talk a little bit about how they work. It's actually a very, very simple idea. If you spin a top with two colors, yellow and blue, all the colors blend together, so you only see gray. If you take that same concept and you put it on a television screen and flicker colors very quickly, we're all familiar with this effect when you point a video camera at a screen and you see those rolling lines going through, but only the camera sees that, the eye doesn't see that. So if you take those two ideas together, what you might see is just a pure gray screen, but what the camera embeds underneath, can see underneath, are all the ones and zeros. So now you have a data link between the screen and the camera, which can serve as this physical link. So we could have continued this work and write more papers about it, but in the time and the position that I was in, we thought it would be a great idea to take this forward as a company. So we started creating a lot of demos which show how this technology can actually be used. So for example, being able to grab a coupon from the screen, be able to hear sound depending on which direction you're pointing the camera in, or something like a stock ticker where you can actually grab more about each security and find out more about it. And this was a really, really good experience because I actually didn't know very much coming out of graduate school about the rest of the world. So it was actually, I learned quite a bit and kind of was able to take a look at the technology and see how it fit into the rest of what everybody else was thinking about. And so one of the things that Pixels.io is doing today is this service, which we call City Shelves, where you can take a picture of something and just get an email and find out more about it. And in parallel, working on the screen to camera links, which will be used by people who actually have screens, and continue to develop so that it actually makes it, so that we can actually make it work on all screens and all cameras. And that's basically it. It's just a little bit more than a link. The link is just the first step. It's what incentivizes the internet to grow. And it's only when the internet grows and there's more exchange of this information that we can actually get to the next step, which is being able to filter and learn more about what we're looking at.